Hey everybody, always Dizzy here. And yeah, I'm ready to discuss how round three from the 2022 Langley Open went for me. Before I start, let's take a look at some short footage I took of the tournament hall. This was again, this was the first time I played in this venue. There were actually two different playing halls. There was another playing hall upstairs, which was much smaller to hold 100 people. Um, it was quite hot. It was, one of the hottest places I've played in. There wasn't really ample cooling, and the chairs were quite close together, but it was okay. It wasn't too bad. So my third round opponent was a little kid. I think he only started playing, I think he's only played maybe a couple, like 2 or 3 tournaments. He looked like he was like maybe 7 years old, maybe 8. Really small little kid. Head barely goes above the table. The table's here, and then he's just looking, he's just looking like that. Yeah. Okay. So let's go. Unfortunately, I was white again, as I mentioned in a previous video. It's kind of frustrating when I waste my whites against lower rated players. Round two, I just finished round 2 where I was playing black against a 2300 rated player. First round, I was white against a 700. Round 3, I'm white against a 1000. But it's okay. It's not a huge deal. So I played e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop e5, a6, bishop a4, b5, bishop b3, knight f6. I castled, and then he played bishop c5. So I think this is I forget if it's like the main archangel or if it's like the neo archangel. I forget what the difference is. I think one of them, there's not a knight on f6. Now what's interesting is this is now the third time that a little kid has played this exact opening against me. And there's a big chess school here, and I don't know if the chess schools are, if the coaches are teaching them this opening to play, or if maybe their coaches are even telling them to play this against me specifically. They're like preparing them. I don't know. Probably the former. It's just kind of interesting because this is not the most popular line, and it's now the third time in a tournament that a kid has played it against me. Unfortunately, I forgot my theory here, which maybe this is why they keep playing it against me. I thought for a long time here, I think. Well, no. I thought just 3 minutes. But yeah, I just forgot my theory, and I played d3. I thought maybe it's c3 here. I was thinking maybe c3, but then I don't know. I kind of talked myself out of it because of knight e4 kind of scared me. So I played d3 just to be safe, but yeah, d3 isn't what I normally play. But it's okay. It's playable. It's fine. He played h6, which was, I thought, a little strange. That's a little bit too prophylactic, I thought. So that gave me a little bit of hope that he might not know what he's doing. I played a4. He plays b4. So, okay, well, I might as well say the next move. And then I played a5. So this whole type of setup is pretty common in a bunch of Roys. I think before, when I played anti-marshals, I would get this a lot because I would play a4 in the anti-marshal, and then this could happen. But it can happen in a lot of cases. So I decided to go with it here. I think the computer thought there was stuff that was better, but it's okay. It's playable. He castled. I played h3. He played bishop b7. Rook e1. That's why I played h3 first, because I wanted to play rook e1. And I think I even just wanted to challenge the bishop. I think I wanted to play bishop e3, but I didn't quite want to commit to the double pawns here. So I wanted to play rook e1 to support the bishop on e3, but knight g4 happens. So that's why I played h3 first. Bishop e7, then rook e1. He plays d6. Played knight bd2. Knight d4. Knight takes d4. Bishop takes d4 and knight f3 and bishop c5. So, things are going okay. I think it's fairly equal, more or less. And time-wise, I think we're doing fine. Yeah, at this point, I have an hour and 4 minutes left. He has an hour and 16 minutes left. I played bishop e3. I didn't really want to give up this bishop because this is my good bishop. I feel, well, both my bishops are fairly good, but there's a lot of potential with this bishop. But his dark-sword bishop is always kind of, it's quite annoying. It's hard for me to like break open the center if I ever want to, and f2 is always kind of weak. So, whoops, did not mean to do that. So I played bishop e3, and we traded. It took with the rook. Queen d7. And then here I made a big mistake. In hindsight, it looks so obvious of how much of a mistake it is. Overall, this game, I made a lot of blunders this game in general. So just keep that in mind. I should have warned you earlier on, but yeah, this was the other mistakes I make later in the game are pretty much like time induced. This mistake, I had plenty of time and I just saw a ghost. For some reason, I was scared of black playing d5, which makes no sense because I could just take on e5. Or potentially I can even just take on d5. It's not like a huge deal. Yeah, I forget exactly what it was. Maybe I was scared of c6, d5. I don't know, but that's slow. I mean, yeah, but for whatever the reason, I was scared of d5, and I wanted to prevent d5. So I played c4, preventing d5. But this is just a straight up mistake because I just killed my bishop. I mean, I could go to a4, but I'm not doing anything on a4. And I can't, I mean, I just killed my bishop. It's just terrible. I stopped d5, but there was nothing wrong with d5. So what can I say? It's just a straight up mistake. Like there's nothing more to it than that. Whoops. So he plays c5, locking down my bishop. I played knight h4. I think the computer preferred that. Well, I think the computer thought that there's nothing here, like there's no attack here for white. And I think it preferred going to knight h2 and then going to g4 to try to trade things off. But this is not a huge deal. I think knight h4 is still playable. It's just not optimal. He played bishop c8, which I didn't understand. I still don't understand what he was trying to do with that. Yeah, I still don't understand what he was doing there. So I played, okay, so here, I played queen d2 here. And I thought for 11 minutes before I played queen d2. I looked really deep here for an attack because it seemed like there's something like knight h5 or rook g3 or queen f3. Like it's really close to there being attack here, but I couldn't quite find one. And the computer agrees. It says there's not actually anything here. So that's why I played queen d2, which the computer is happy with. Now rook g3 might be a threat because of queen h6. He plays queen e7. Threatening things like, I think, knight e4, knight takes e4, for example. So I play knight f5, bishop takes f5, e takes f5. And at this point, I actually used up a lot of time here. I was down to 38 minutes. This move only moved 21. I was down to 38 minutes, and my opponent had an hour and 4 minutes. And he played queen c7, and then he offered me a draw. And I think it was this, I can't remember. I think it was this kid. It might have been another kid. But like my first round opponent, he offered me a draw. I didn't say anything. And then he wants an answer. And so he was, looks at me like, did you hear me? Yeah, did you hear me? I offered a draw, but I think it was this round that he did that. But it was definitely here. I have it marked on my score sheet that he offered me a draw. I declined because even though this bishop is bad, and even though I'm down on the clock, like he has twice as much time as I do, he is rated 15 or 500 points below me. So if I draw, I'm going to lose a lot of points. And I thought I've got some potential here, right? I've got some attacking, and I have a bishop. So I played g4. He played knight h7. I played h4. And he made a mistake here. He played f6, which the computer hates. At first glance, to me, like it doesn't seem that bad. But I guess one issue is that his knight is just really, really stuck here after f6. Plus, he's fixing his pawns, so potentially down the road, I could maybe double up on the g-file and then play g5 and break through that way. But I think mostly the computer doesn't like it because of how it locks down its knight. And here I had a good idea. When I was analyzing this game after with my friend, he was telling me how my next move was bad. He didn't like it, but Stockfish agrees with me. Stockfish likes my move. I made the best move. It's not that hard to find, but I just like that I mean, it's just nice to play it regardless, because I don't know. It's not that hard to find, but it's just a nice little maneuver. So basically, my bishop on b3 is a wasted piece. If you could put it anywhere on the board, where would you like to put it? Well, probably d5. So that's what I do. I just put it on d5. And how do we do that? Well, bishop d1. I don't see how he can stop me. Like he can't move anything. He's got nothing to do, right? He can't move anything. What's he gonna do? He has nothing. He can't move the pawns. He can't move anything. So I can take my sweet time here. He played rook a d8. I played bishop f3. Rook b8. See, like he seriously cannot do anything. And then bishop d5 check. So I just like that because we've just improved our bishop dramatically. He played king h8. And it's a little tricky to find the next plan here for white. But I thought, well, this rook is out of the game. So let's participate and let's get going on the g file. So I played king h2, just opening up the g file for my rooks. He plays queen d8. And then I made an inaccuracy here. You could argue it's a mistake. And I forget why I played this. I remember thinking about it, and I played it for a reason, but it was not a good reason. I played bishop e6, and in hindsight, I don't know exactly why I played it. Like I almost seem to remember thinking something like getting my queen in here, and so that's what I was making room for my queen, or I wanted to have an X-ray defense if black pushed G6 or something. I forget, but it doesn't make any sense, and it's just a waste of a tempo. So bishop e6 was not good. I should have just stuck with my plan of doubling up on the G file. He plays queen e8. And then I played, I'm just reading my notes here. So I played rook 3 e1. And this was a blunder. I should have just stuck with my plan of attacking on the G file. Let's say the rooks were already there, and then I played G5. And then, I don't know, F takes, H takes. And if H takes, can I then sack the exchange? Yeah, I might be able to because I'm covering G8 with my bishop. And even if I don't attack right away, maybe I could play something like F4 once the rooks are here. Something like that. But regardless, rook 3 e1 is just kind of strange. The reason I played it, though, I did have a reason. I was actually kind of deciding to bait my opponent into playing b3. Because I thought if I kind of just make it, like, if I played this, and if he plays b3, I thought he's committing his pawn to where it can't be defended easily. And then I was thinking this idea, right? Where he cannot defend it, the b3 pawn. And that was my plan. But I should have been more direct. Like, I'm the aggressor. I should have been more direct in my attack instead of going for the side quest. Okay, so he does play b3, which is a mistake. But regardless, the Stockfish still did not prefer that I go after this pawn. It still wants me to go after the king instead. That should be the prime directive here. So I played rook a3 because, again, that is what my plan was when I brought this rook back. Rook b4 I played bishop d5, which I think was good. Correcting this mistake from earlier, I should never have put it on e6 to begin with. My opponent plays queen d7. I played rook c1, just continuing with my plan to win the b3 pawn. But even here, I think the computer just wanted me to reverse all my decisions and just go straight back to the G file and attack. He plays rook fb1, and I play rook c3. He plays queen e8. I played queen d1, again, just attacking the b3 pawn. And then he plays a strange move. I think this is just his inexperience talking. He played h5, which is a blunder, but it actually ended up working against me later down the road. But right now it's just a free pawn, so I took it. He plays knight f8. And then I played bishop f3, which is a blunder. Again, I should have just brought my rooks to the G file here. But I think my idea, I'm just reading my notes here. I think what I was thinking was to put my bishop on d1 so that my queen could maybe get active against his king. So I was trying to swap my bishop and my queen here, essentially. But that was just cumbersome of a plan. And my bishop was already on a good square to begin with. And it's just way too slow, my plan. Yeah, so that's why I play bishop f3 though. He plays queen d7. And I played bishop e4 because I have no other way to defend the f5 pawn. And time-wise, I might be getting a little bit low, actually. Yeah, well, yeah, it's I'm down to 18 minutes. My opponent has 53 minutes. So 18 minutes over the board is not a whole lot. Okay, so he plays queen e8, and I played queen g4, king h7. And finally, I realize, what am I doing here? Like, this is not the right idea. So finally, I play rook a1, realizing that I got sidetracked here and I should be going after his king. He played king h6, which was really bold. And when he played it, I'm like, what? Can he do that? Like, can he spend a whole move playing king h6? Like, oh, geez, that's crazy. And frustrating. So I played rook g1, queen f7, just defending the g7 pawn there. And I played rook c1, or rook c1, just bringing in my other rook. I wonder if this way would have been faster. It would have been, but I mean, I give up a pawn for that. That would have been interesting. I didn't look at that with the computer. I wonder what it would think about that. He plays rook a4. And okay, I'm back. And if I'm out of breath, what happened was I decided to just go for a kind of a walk halfway through doing this video. So I stopped the video. I went for a walk before it got too dark, and then I'm back right now. So I'm a little bit dizzy. I'm always dizzy. Okay, sorry. So it's going to be a weird interruption, I understand, when I edit the videos back together. Anyway, sorry. So he plays rook a4, and then it's so bizarre what I did, because I just finished realizing that I should have prioritized the G file, but I am so freaking materialistic that I'm like, wait a second, I don't really want to give up this A pawn. So instead of just doubling up on the G file, part of the thing though is that I didn't know how I was going to continue. Like, let's say I do play rook g3, and then takes, and then rook c g1. Oh man, I'm dizzy. What's my next move there? I guess I would take on g7. But, you know, after takes and takes, and he takes here, I guess that's checkmate. Or not quite. I guess I could go here. But it was a little iffy to me. It seemed like he didn't have quite enough. You know, he has a lot of defenses here. And I guess that's kind of why I chickened out. I'm going to put on the engine. So it might slow down the video. It might lag the video a little bit. Actually, no, first, yeah, we could go rook g3. So we could just go rook g3 here. And then, yeah, rook c g1. And let's say he goes after this one. This is what the computer's recommending. Yeah, so then here, this is where I didn't know how I was going to follow up. The computer suggests a number of moves, but it wants to move the queen off of this file. And then check. And he can't take this because bishop f3 will be mate in a couple. And he has no other moves here. Whoops. If he goes back, computer says h6 or king h1. But there was some attack here, apparently. So I'll just turn off the engine. Okay. So, anyways, I chickened out and I played rook a1. So, and what's even worse than that, because you could say what's worse than that, right? What is worse than rook a1? Well, because I was down to 6 minutes, I actually offered a draw here. Even though I think the computer says I'm up, it's like plus 15 or something. So I played rook a1 and I offered a draw. Obviously, if I had more time here, if I had like 20 minutes or 30 minutes, most likely I'm going to look for a win on the G file. But like my opponent had almost an hour. He had 52 minutes and I had 6 minutes. And that was a big deciding factor that, geez, like maybe I should just go for a draw here. So it was kind of two blunders in one move, because I'm just winning here if I attack. And then secondly, I offer a draw. Now, my opponent declined and he played rook a2, which really surprised me. And that's a very annoying move. And it kind of just confused me and took more of my time away. And I blundered yet again. I'm really bad under time pressure, whether it's online or over the board. I'm a slow thinker. And I played queen e2. And it's just a blunder because I forgot that my h5 pawn is hanging. He can just take h5. So I guess maybe I have to play rook b1 because he can't take here. If he takes with the queen, I've got mate. So maybe I could have played rook. But then what do I do after he takes here? Maybe then I double up again. I don't have the engine on. I'm just taking a look what I might do. I think it would be the same plan where I eventually go to e3. So if he like ignores it, if he retreats, well then I could even maybe give up the two rooks for the queen and the pawn. Although I don't think that's winning. How would I, h6? That may turn on the engine. Probably h6. Or bishop d5. Let's see what the engine says. Yeah, bishop d5 or h6. Yeah, they probably go hand in hand. Yeah. And if he takes, then I can just, oh, then it wants to give up the queen. And then we have queen g3. Oh, this is winning? Oh, and then there's mate here. Okay, so there was calculation required because so it's not like super simple. And yeah, still out of breath here. Okay, I'm out of shape. So yeah, queen takes h5. I recapture, which was not the best move, but it's what I played. He recaptures. I played rook a b1. And if I remember correctly, I'm just losing here. And my opponent, well, let's see. So he plays king h6, defending g7, rook g3. And he blundered here playing rook b4, which I thought he might. Actually, no, I thought he might just take on a5. But yeah, he played rook b4, which is a little strange. And I played rook bg1. So this is move 47. So at this point, my opponent's down to 50 minutes. I'm down to 4. And my opponent was playing quickly. He was trying to keep the pressure on me, which may or may not be a good idea. Probably it's a bad idea. But I think he recognized that I'm a slow old man. And, you know, I'm down to 4 minutes. So maybe he should keep the pressure on. But let's see what happens. So he plays rook takes b2. I take on g7. Rook takes f7 check. And I had to be accurate here. I played the best move. I played king h3. If I play king h1, I'm just losing. Because eventually he'll queen on b1, and then I'm going to have to move the king again. It's not like, so it's not efficient to go to king h1. I played king h3, he plays b2. I'm still at 5 minutes because I'm playing quick and we have increment. My opponent's down to 48 minutes. He plays, after king h3, I played rook g8. He plays knight g6, which looks silly, but he's, like, I'm threatening mate here. So he either has to move the king to h7, I think, or he has to play what he played. And here, this is really weird. I was really panicking here, which may sound weird, but the pressure of playing over the board really got to me. I was down to 3 minutes, and I just felt, see, if there's not a lot on the line, if you're just playing like a blitz game online, you can afford to spend more time because it's not like a big deal. Plus, you're not recording your moves and everything. But yeah, if you're playing online, you can afford to like really think here because it's not a huge deal if you lose. But this is an over-the-board tournament game, and I was just kind of panicking. I'm like, which rook do I take? Which rook will be mate? And I wasn't quite sure, so I ended up just making a move before I blew more time. I took with the rook, the g1 rook. He plays king, the only move that doesn't hang mate. And again, I was trying to calculate mate here, but I just couldn't. And I got down to 2 minutes. And I'm just like, where's the mate? Where's the mate? So I make a move. He makes the only legal move. And then I get down to 1 minute. Down to 1 minute. I'm like, where's the mate? Or is it just a draw? But I thought there's got to be a mate here. Like, there's got to be a mate. And so I played rook g3 because this does threaten mate in 1. So he plays king h7 though. I'm still down to 1 minute. I played bishop d5. With the idea of defending the g8 rook, so I could mate him on the h file. But this was actually a blunder. Bishop d5. But I thought I blundered earlier than that. Oh, I know why. Yeah. What I should have done, and I think I could have done it earlier as well. Let's see, could I have? I think I could have done it. I think I could have done it here as well. But all I had to do was bring this rook to, how come I can't draw? Oh, it's the wrong button. Oh, how come I can't draw? There we go. Is bring this rook to any square other than b7. And then this would be mate. So I just had to play one of 5 moves, and then it's a mate that he can't escape. And I had the same opportunity here, I think, where I could have given a check again, and then brought the rook back. So it was a mate in 2 that I missed, and obviously I would find that if I just had a little bit more time on the clock and I wasn't so pressured. But I played bishop b5. So he queens. I give a check. I'm constantly at 1 minute or sub 1 minute. He plays king h6. I'm still looking for the mate. And around this point is when I get the idea, like, okay, maybe I can bring this rook back. But it's too late at this point. Once I moved this bishop, it was too late because I wasted an important tempo. I had one tempo that I could have used, and I used it with the bishop. So yeah, we just repeat here. I think we actually played it 4 times. And then, yeah, it was a draw. So this was the worst game I played of the tournament. it really stung because my opponent is 500 points below me, and means I think I lose about 13, 14, 15 points by drawing him. And yeah, I just made a number of mistakes this game, most notably at the end. I was in time pressure, so I have a little bit of an excuse, but still missing a mate and 2 multiple times. So just as a quick recap of the game, D3, I forgot my repertoire here, which is slightly embarrassing. The rest was all good. C4 was a stupid mistake. I saw some ghost of D5 that I had to stop black from playing D5. And I think it's partly because I'm used to closed Roy positions, so I'm used to having the center closed. And I felt uncomfortable about it becoming open, but this just kills my bishop. I loved this maneuver that I came up with, bishop d1 to d5. This was all good. And then I had the wrong focus here. I was focusing on this b3 pawn when I should have been attacking on the g file, but I'm just not an attacking player. Also, I played the bishop d6 earlier, which was not a great idea. This was another mistake, rook a1. I changed my mind yet again to defend the a pawn, but I should have still gone for the g file. I also blundered this pawn. This is when I was in time pressure, but I blundered h5. And then this was good, except I missed the mate in 2 right here. I could have brought this rook back, and then I missed it yet again here. I could have given the check and then had the same idea. So it was a draw at the end. So that was round 3. It's kind of a strange tournament at this point because I played a 700 that I beat. Then I played a 2300 that I lost to, which was also weird because I was actually better in the middle game against him, and then was slightly better. And then the third game I draw a 1000 rated player. And this tournament is just chock full of 1000 and sub 1000 rated players that are pretty strong, right? Again, my opponent is 7 or 8 years old, and he didn't play a perfect game, but he's so young and he's rated 1000. It's tough. The tournaments are tough. Anyways, that is round 3. Let me know your thoughts. I will have round 4 up in 2 or 3 days from now. Thanks for watching. See you next time.